I graduated from MIT with a bachelor's degree in 1964 and have been working for 4 years, 3 years in England, which I think helped. I don't think that I would have come back here if things had been the way they were when I left.
You know, wherever one goes, people have an idea of what MIT is like. And some of them don't even ask you whether your idea coincides. They just go by a kind of stereotype that corresponds to what they thought a technical school should have been like 20, 30 years ago, and they maybe have updated it in terms of atomic energy and scientific discoveries. But they haven't thought about the fact that the place is a human institution and it has evolved.
Seems like almost all of the departments that I'm dealing with are broadening their scopes, looking at certain problems from all sorts of other viewpoints rather than the technological one. People are looking at the things they're doing in the ways that they affect people.
MIT has traditionally been known as a very apathetic school, and how exactly this relates to the emphasis on science here, I wouldn't want to go into. However, it's been very noticeable that over the past few years, I would say past 3 years, the active involvement of the MIT student body has been increasing.
As far as being here, I wouldn't like to be anywhere else. I'm taking part in meetings and questioning and talking with people about what this university is supposed to be, and I'm only a freshman. I feel that this is one place where I can actually be accomplishing something. If I were at another university, I'd be swallowed into a large student body. Here, all right, I'm a member of an institute committee. Just because I wanted to, I'm writing a couple of articles for the yearbook. I'm writing for the newspaper. And I just walked in and said I wanted to work. And there are jobs for people that want to work.
What is your opinion of MIT?
I'm having a ball. Some people work here, and some people enjoy the high quality of education. Some people enjoy the attention they get. I'm having a good time. I've been here too many years to really worry about it too much anymore.
We have pass-fail for the freshman year.
And that is fantastic.
It's like such a fantastic program, at least because, well, for me anyway, I know I'm taking courses that I wouldn't have ordinarily taken because, you know, they're older people, and, you know, you get scared your freshman year.
You can have the attitude of enjoying what you're learning somewhat.
Right, especially since
and it makes such a better atmosphere.
Yeah, but some of the upperclassmen are like very CUNY conscious, so that, you know, I think we sense the pressure coming, and I think it will be an adjustment next year.
I came up here and visited last year, and I met lots of nice people, and I went to classes and things, and it seemed like a really great place. Social life is nothing to snub. I mean, with the 20-to-1 ratio, you can't lose.
Just a bit. Some people manage.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Student government is to be effective. All students should be able to participate in every meeting.
Individuals more academically committed are necessarily less able to show up at these things. This would have the effect that any radical group that was able to get all of its members not to go to classes for the same period of time would be able to dominate the organization long enough to commit it to a particular course.
If somebody does have a position that he really feels that he definitely does want to present, this setup, I think, makes it eminently easy or exceptionally simple for him to do that. All he has to do is propose is give to the agenda committee, you know, what he wants to discuss, and it will in fact be brought up as part of the meeting. He can even go further. He can become a part of the agenda committee. He can become a part of the finance committee. See, he can do anything virtually. So there's no way in which a person can be prevented from presenting something. It's impossible. Even if everybody in the entire student body except him wanted to see him not speak, he could speak.
The same can be said, I think, for the club of academic intellectuals who, under the liberal administrations of the 1960s, designed and implemented the Vietnam War and other similar, though smaller, actions. This particular community is a very relevant one to consider at a place like MIT because, of course, you're all free to enter this community. In fact, you're invited and encouraged to enter it. The community of technical intelligentsia and weapons designers and counterinsurgency experts and pragmatic planners of an American empire is one that you have a great deal of inducement to become associated with. The inducements, in fact, are very real. The rewards in power and affluence and prestige and authority are quite significant.
And I think it is this spirit of continual improvement, feedback, self-criticism, which in a way is not always terribly harmonious and doesn't always lead to easy communication and all the rest, but which is responsible for what is going on right now. In other words, to me at least, much of today's unrest among students in the world and young faculty members comes from what people have called the expectation gap. They know what the world could be, and they also know what it is.
The MIT Black Student Union was formed last spring to bring together black students to see what they had on their minds and to see what we could do. We presented our proposals this fall to the administration about getting more black students at MIT. Hopefully we'll have 100 freshmen in the fall, although this may be kind of a naive estimate. It might be an overestimation, but we're trying, and now we're in the process of recruiting black students. There's going to be a harder look taken at the typical academic credentials to take account of the fact that many black students don't necessarily, as measured by the conventional criteria, come up to the typical MIT standard. Also, there's a changed financial aid policy with regard to black students, this involving more scholarship aid in the first 2 years and then the typical scholarship loan program in later years to encourage the black students to come.
Why did you come to MIT?
Well, I came just this year. I transferred from a school, and I came because I wanted to go into architecture, and I not only a design program, but a program that had a little more of a scientific orientation, and wanted to be with people who are excited about things that are going on now and not just idealistic concepts. A lot of things not exactly how I expected them to be. For instance, sailing on the Charles and dancing and newspaper work. There's a lot of other things going on. It's not work all the time, certainly.
What a competition? Well, wrestling is very tough. Like Norm, it's very tough. But academically, I say it's also very repulsive, too.
What about social life?
Social life, that's what I'm here for. Yeah. Friday night parties every time at an apartment. Saturday night parties every week at the fraternity. Then mixers every other weekend at Wellesley or something like that. Then helps being in a good course like economics too, because there are more Wellesley girls in economics.
Intercollegiately, we've got over 20 teams, I think. Cross country, soccer, baseball, basketball, track, squash, and a whole bunch of other ones. Do a lot of students participate in sports? Intercollegiately and intramural combined, there's over 3,000 students that participate in athletics at MIT. So do you think athletics is a major part of the life at MIT? Not really. Damn, I screwed that up.
What does MIT mean to you?
That's a good question. It means to me, huh? You should give people about half an hour for that one, really.
The Institute has changed quite a bit since I've been here for 4 years. They're trying to change student government. There's been a flurry of political activity now, and I'd be interested to see what goes on for the next 4 years.
Well, originally I came here because I thought I wanted to be an engineer, and MIT has made me wonder, many times whether I made the right choice, and I'm still not quite sure.
It's everything I wanted and more. It's music and art and lots of science and math, a lot of interested people, and sports. And it's a tremendous place, better than I expected. And I expected the best.
I find it more exciting than I originally thought, in the sense of kinds of activities with social concern, especially things like in the urban studies area. I'm happy with the department, mainly for the kind of access to the professors that you have there.
Personal opinion, unsubstantiated by fact, is that it's the best place to learn things.
The function of exponential x or e to the x, whichever name you call it by, is really a rather remarkable function. Well, I think it is. And it's remarkable especially because of the fact that it is self-replicating, essentially, when differentiated. That's the thing that makes it so interesting. And now, let me dig into my 1801 lecture kit here. These will come later. But first I have a... Well, first we have a slight short course in bartending. It all has to do with diluting cranberry juice so as to suit the very delicate or dainty. You serve this up to your mother-in-law, and she said, "This is too weak." Right? Yeah. All I wanted is just a bit of white so it's behind it. She said, I really want to show how it gets, more and more diluted. That's the whole message. The message is that now as you start pouring this product, which I'm not going to name, as you start adding this product, which will go nameless, notice the color changing, right? And this is a silly demonstration, of course, but the point is that this involves exponentials. In fact, I'll give you one clue. Let's assume that this thing has been mixed and mixed and mixed whilst I was pouring it, so it's thoroughly mixed. I'll also tell you that the bottle contains a little more than 4 glasses worth of liquid. Huh? And now you see, it's the cranberry juice is almost gone, presumably. Huh? You might ask how much cranberry juice is left. Huh? How much cranberry? Well, I'll taste it, of course, yes. No, not very much.
We are a truly contemporary university, and the frontiers of a contemporary university are basically the same as the frontiers of human concerns, whether it be scientific curiosity or whether it be the problems that in our society and in our world we particularly experience, whether it be the problems of the future of medicine, the future of the city, the future of education, world peace and disarmament. All these concerns, to all these concerns, science and technology are terribly relevant.
Well, I guess what we're doing is trying to set up a framework, an educational framework that we're eventually going to try to apply to the Roberts School in Cambridge. That's what the course is about. We're trying to decide what education is, what the goals are, what the sort of generalized methods that you might use to achieve the goals are, and how children, people develop over time. The class is composed of mostly undergraduates from MIT and a few girls from Wellesley, and 5 parents from the Area 4 community.
Schools shouldn't eliminate any of these virtues or qualities, but I'm not sure that we should set up a school trying to do all this for every kid. I mean, it just terrifies me.
You've got every type of kid, you've got every type of environment, and we didn't, at this point we didn't want to say just for the urban environment, because we wanted to get to a general feeling for what the philosophy of education should be.
I believe that self-image of feeling of the self is really a growth characteristic and has very little to do with how you can educate in the formal sense.
So I don't see how you can separate them.
We feel that this university has to combine in perhaps a new way rational inquiry and human concern. This is a combination that I think, to me, is this spirit of transition, of being ever more analytical and rational in where we can go in inquiry, and being ever more humanly concerned. In a way, it is the ethos of talking about the consequences of one's knowledge and of one's possible actions, which technology enables us to carry on. And it is therefore that the humanities, the social sciences, the management, the students in these fields have an entirely new contribution to make.
Are you really ready to ask questions, perplexing questions about what do I want, what are my goals, where am I going? You start asking that, but I really don't think you face it until you get to college.
The undergraduate systems program is a program for juniors and seniors in the Sloan School of Management at MIT. It's based on the premise that the best way to teach a manager how to be a manager is to let him manage his own education. They're sort of given the big problem of you're going to be a manager at the end of these 2 years. You're going to be the master of your own destiny, so get going on it. Start to find out what you've got to know. And this way, when the end of the 2 years comes and they're faced with that question, it's sort of an old friend. Whereas if they've been taking rather disjoint subjects in various areas that somebody somewhere has seemed to think would be relevant to what they're doing, and they're suddenly surprised. A manager comes across a problem, he can't say that is a finance problem or that is a personnel problem. He's got to somehow see components of different kinds of problems in each one. This is the kind of thing that USP gives a guy.
I think you can validly accuse me of being academic.
This is a contemporary lit course. We've been reading the latest books of a number of writers, and then the writers have been coming in to meet with the students and talk with them. And today we're lucky to be able to just look down the hall for our writer, who is Pete Gurney, an important American playwright and also an important colleague of those of us in the humanities department.
I felt more the relationship between the two people, Jason and Diaz, and his responsibility was to Diaz. And then only when the children were brought in through the children in my bed, roller skates and all that stuff, and Medea killing children, did I realize that this was really strong, and maybe that has to do with my age. Maybe that's why I couldn't feel it.
Isn't the kind of device that you're using the key device in reaching for myth? And that is a use of some contemporary setting in which the myth teases in and then teases back out again.
and that this is really our state in regard to myth. That is, we're involved with a heap of fragments, of broken images.
Looks like a balloon.
A balloon? A pink balloon.
Oh, it's a beautiful big balloon.
It's the grooviest thing, just watching it up there, coming right down at you.
Yes, this is typically MIT. Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's typical at all, no, but I think it's beautiful.
You know, hardly anything around here is typical, but it's, you know, very, very real MIT.
I suppose you'd call it a demonstration. Law of gravity, what goes up must come down.
Science and technology, by and large, have probably been the most successful human enterprise, in spite of the fact that we know today that not automatically is every application of science and technology benign. But it is this optimistic mood that leads us to say, let us not only participate in changing the world, but let us also make this place a model university in the best sense of the word. And I think that's it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Good. All right, is that what you want?
Yeah, great.
Great, great. Okay. He has this little trick where he gets the people at the end when they don't expect anyone to be on camera. That's not a bad idea, you know. This is also rolling.